In the year 2020, the world stopped as a single morning dissolved into confusion, disbelief, and a silence that felt impossibly heavy, because a global icon vanished without warning and millions felt the impact all at once. It was a moment that cut through borders and languages, leaving people in Los Angeles, Italy, China, and Africa grasping for answers, while the name Kobe Bryant echoed with a new and painful meaning. His greatest moments flashed back into the collective memory. An 81-point eruption that defied human limits, impossible alley-oops carried by pure faith, 5 championships molded from obsession, an Oscar earned through reinvention, and tender guidance offered to a rising young prodigy he loved more than anything. The contrast between triumph and tragedy raised questions the world could not shake, and the shock of his loss became a mystery that pulled everyone deeper into the legacy he left behind. Why was Kobe Bryant more than just a basketball player? And what forged the mentality that turned him into a symbol of relentless human possibility? How does a life built on excellence continue to grow in power even after its final chapter has closed? And why does his influence feel even stronger now than when he stood alive in the spotlight? Stay with us as we uncover the full story, raw, inspiring, and unforgettable. In the year 1978, a legend was born. In the year 1978, a child entered the world in Philadelphia carrying a name inspired by Japanese Kobe beef, and though no one knew it then, he would one day redefine greatness. His father, Joe "Jellybean" Bryant, was already immersed in basketball life, moving from team to team while shaping his son's earliest curiosity about the sport. His mother, Pamela, nurtured him quietly, the youngest of 3 children, and within this blend of discipline and love, Kobe Bean Bryant absorbed the world with unusual focus from the start. By the age of 6, his life shifted dramatically when his father moved the family to Italy to continue his basketball career, exposing Kobe to a culture that would shape his mind completely. He wandered through narrow European streets as a skinny, determined boy who dribbled a basketball against cracked pavement courts while Italian neighbors watched a child who already seemed older than his years. He became fluent in the language, learned new rhythms of discipline, and developed early footwork that blended American athleticism with European technique, giving him a style years ahead of his age. His love for AC Milan deepened his appreciation for strategy, teamwork, and calculated pace, and he often translated soccer concepts into basketball moves in ways no other child around him imagined. He studied players obsessively, memorizing patterns, angles, and tendencies, turning childhood passion into something sharper, closer to obsession. Even his teachers and coaches began to speak about him not as a kid who played basketball, but as a child who seemed to study greatness itself. When the Bryants returned to the United States in 1991, Kobe, now 13, faced a cultural shock that tested him socially and emotionally, because he no longer fit neatly into any group. Yet he found comfort in the gym at Lower Merion High School, where he poured all of his loneliness, curiosity, and hunger into endless hours of training. His coaches watched him transform the empty court into a laboratory, and soon he became the most talked about young player in the entire state. By his final years of high school, Kobe shattered Wilt Chamberlain's long-standing Southeastern Pennsylvania scoring record with 2,883 points, marking him as the best high school basketball player in America. Newspapers marveled at his poise, scouts whispered about his maturity, and opponents feared his intelligence as much as his skill. Every game felt like a preview of something larger, as if he was quietly auditioning for a stage no high school gym could ever hold. Then came the decision that stunned the country, when Kobe announced boldly and without hesitation, "I'm going straight to the NBA," at just 17 years old. Some people doubted him, others celebrated him, and many argued fiercely about whether skipping college was brilliance or arrogance. But behind every opinion, one truth became clear: Kobe Bryant was stepping into destiny on his own terms, ready to challenge everything the world thought it understood about talent, ambition, and youth. In the year 1996, the NBA changed forever. He entered the league at a moment when many doubted that a teenager could survive in a world ruled by grown men, yet his arrival on draft night became a turning point that reshaped the entire direction of the game. The Charlotte Hornets called his name at number 13, but within minutes he was shipped to the Los Angeles Lakers, where a new road opened before he even understood what it meant for his life. He stepped into the arena as the youngest player the league had ever seen, carrying a mixture of joy, fear, and that quiet fire that told anyone watching that he would not remain ordinary. His rookie season brought its own learning curve, but the world took notice when he soared to win the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest, turning himself into a teen sensation overnight. That early spotlight was only a small preview of what he would become, because the Lakers soon found the missing piece that would elevate him further. When Phil Jackson arrived, everything shifted, and the discipline of the triangle offense pushed him to think, move, and lead with a level of precision that deepened his hunger for greatness. The stage was set for a new era, and he was ready to claim it. At the same time, another force stood beside him, creating a combination the league had not seen in decades, because Shaquille O'Neal's size and dominance paired with his speed and footwork made the Lakers unstoppable. Their rise was not luck but the result of savage training sessions, challenging practices, and a silent competition that pushed both men to outperform each other at every turn. They carried this edge into the playoffs again and again, building a dynasty that crushed opponents with a mix of power and artistry. The three championships that followed in 2000, 2001, and 2002 showed what could happen when talent, discipline, and ambition collided without fear or restraint. Every run deepened the bond between them while also revealing cracks that would widen with time, because two kings rarely share one throne without a cost. The world watched their victories with admiration, but inside the locker room the energy often shifted between unity and simmering frustration. And while fans celebrated the glory, both men felt the pressure that came with being expected to win every single night. As the seasons passed, the tension grew heavier, because the same work ethic that made him extraordinary was the same force that clashed with the personalities around him. His obsession with improvement made him wake earlier, train harder, and demand more from everyone, yet that intensity created ego battles that sometimes spilled into public conversations. He wanted accountability, discipline, and greatness, while others wanted balance, understanding, and partnership, creating a divide that widened with every championship banner. Their success became a double-edged sword, shaping them into legends while also pulling them apart piece by piece. Leadership styles conflicted sharply, and the pressure from media, fans, and ownership made every disagreement feel like a spark waiting to ignite. The rise of the dynasty came with constant comparisons, misunderstandings, and expectations that neither star could fully escape. The Lakers still dominated on the court, but behind the scenes the weight of it all grew impossible to ignore. And as each season ended, the cracks deepened. The breaking point arrived in 2004, when everything finally collapsed under the strain of ambition, frustration, and personal pride. Their run to the finals that year looked promising at first, but the loss that ended the season made the internal issues too large to cover anymore. It was no longer possible for the team to stand on the foundation that had carried them through 3 titles, because the unity required to win had already been replaced by division. In the aftermath, the franchise made a decision that rewrote its future by sending Shaq away, ending one of the most dominant partnerships in basketball history. The city felt the shift immediately, realizing that an era was closing and another was being forced to begin. And in the middle of that moment, he stood alone, confronted with the reality that everything he had built would need to be rebuilt again. The dynasty was gone, and the responsibility fell entirely on his shoulders. Yet standing alone did not break him, because he had already learned that greatness requires surviving the moments when everything comfortable falls apart. He understood that the next chapter would demand even more from him, more discipline, more endurance, and more courage than the years that had made him a champion. What remained was a young man still hungry, still driven, still obsessed with becoming the greatest version of himself in a league that now expected him to fail without his longtime partner. His rise had been loud, but the silence after the dynasty ended was even louder, forcing him to confront the weight of leadership without the comfort of a dominant team behind him. In that quiet space, he prepared for a transformation that would reshape not just his career, but the story of his life. The world saw the end of an era, but he saw the beginning of something deeper, something sharper, and something fueled by fire. And this turning point would soon lead him into a new identity the world would never forget. In the year 2003, Kobe faced his darkest moment. The year that should have marked another step toward greatness instead turned into a storm that nearly consumed him, because the Colorado case exploded across headlines with a force he had never experienced before. Overnight, he went from global superstar to a figure trapped under relentless scrutiny, carrying the emotional weight of accusations, legal battles, and a world trying to dissect every detail of his life. The pressure grew so heavy that it threatened to fracture not only his public image but the foundation of the career he had built through years of discipline, sacrifice, and ambition. Every day became a test of endurance, a struggle to hold on to the only constants he understood: focus, work, and the determination to survive. And yet even as the storm raged, he refused to let it become the end of his story, because he believed in the possibility of rebuilding himself from the ashes left behind. The case ultimately altered how millions viewed him, shaping a turning point that forced him to confront who he was and who he wanted to become. In that harsh moment, he realized that the next version of himself could not be born without letting the old version die. That realization became the seed of his transformation, because once the legal battle ended and the world turned its attention elsewhere, he stepped into a space of silence where reinvention felt both painful and necessary. It was in this space that he famously said he needed to kill the old version of himself, acknowledging that the only way forward was through radical change that began internally before it ever reached the court. The identity that emerged from this decision was colder, sharper, and driven by an unbreakable clarity, and that identity would soon be known across the world as the Black Mamba. This new persona was not a character but a way of surviving, allowing him to channel pressure into fuel and doubt into motivation with a level of focus he had never shown before. Every training session became a battlefield, every drill a declaration that his story was far from over, and every moment alone became another step in building a mindset that rejected fear completely. This evolution reshaped his approach to the game and reshaped the expectations placed upon him as he prepared to reclaim the court with a fury that surprised even his toughest critics. And once he returned fully to competition, it became clear that he was no longer the same athlete the world had known. The performances that followed his transformation became some of the most iconic displays of individual brilliance in NBA history, beginning with his explosive run against Dallas where he scored 62 points in only 3 quarters. That night showed a version of him that attacked every possession with precision and purpose, turning the court into his personal proving ground as he continued reshaping his legacy. But the true turning point came against Toronto, where he unleashed 81 points in a single game, a performance so staggering that it instantly entered the record books as the second highest scoring total in league history. This wasn't simply scoring, it was the clearest expression of the Black Mamba's arrival, showing a player who refused to let doubt, pain, or the past define him. His footwork, rhythm, confidence, and control of the game revealed a man who had rebuilt himself into something more relentless than before. As the world adjusted to this new chapter, opponents started preparing for him the same way they prepared for disasters, because he could strike at any moment with a level of force that felt almost inevitable. And in this stretch of dominance, he reminded everyone that redemption could be earned through resilience, mastery, and unwavering determination. His journey soon expanded beyond the Lakers as he joined Team USA in 2008, where he became the emotional leader of the Redeem team, guiding a squad of stars who needed both confidence and direction after the disappointment of previous international losses. His teammates described him as the anchor of their mission, the one who set the tone by waking before dawn to train even on rest days, proving once again that he never hid from responsibility. The team leaned on his intensity, and the result was a dramatic and triumphant Olympic run that restored American basketball dominance on the global stage. This victory strengthened his reputation worldwide, marking him as not only a scorer or a champion but a leader capable of lifting others through sheer force of will. His MVP win that same year affirmed his status as the best player in the world, providing a moment of recognition that had eluded him earlier in his career due to the shadow of past controversies. Everything he worked for, everything he rebuilt, aligned in a way that felt both redemptive and earned. And as he continued to push forward, he set his sights on something deeper than individual accolades. The ultimate redemption came with back-to-back championships in 2009 and 2010, victories that completed his journey from scandal to transformation, and from doubt to undeniable greatness. The 2009 title re-established him as a champion without needing anyone from the past to validate it, while the 2010 championship against the Boston Celtics delivered the emotional closure he had chased for years. The final moments of that Game 7 showed a man who had fought through pain, pressure, and personal turmoil to reclaim everything that nearly slipped away, and the tears that followed carried the weight of 7 years of struggle. His revenge against Boston symbolized more than a trophy. It represented the proof that reinvention could lead to triumph when discipline and perseverance refused to break. The redemption arc was complete, and the world saw a man who had risen from his darkest point to stand once again at the peak of his profession. This chapter closed with him holding the trophy tightly, knowing he had rebuilt himself piece by piece. And from that moment on, the Black Mamba became more than a persona, it became legend. In the year 2013, his body broke but his spirit didn't. The years that followed his second championship era became a test of endurance, because the physical toll of decades of relentless training began to surface in painful ways that even he could not ignore. The moment he tore his Achilles felt like a sudden collapse of everything he had fought to rebuild, yet the world watched in stunned silence as he insisted on walking back to the free throw line to finish what he started. In that quiet, determined walk, he showed a defiance that felt almost criminal in its intensity, like a man refusing to surrender even when his body had already sounded the alarm. His willpower became the central story, overshadowing even the injury itself, because people understood they were witnessing a moment that would shape the final chapter of his playing career. The months that followed brought surgery, rehabilitation, and a long season of doubt, but he clung to the belief that he still had more to give. And when he returned, he did so knowing the battles ahead would be unlike anything he had ever faced. The injuries did not stop at the Achilles, because soon his shoulder, knee, and other joints began failing under the weight of time and thousands of hours of punishing work. Each injury became a reminder that no amount of courage could fully reverse the realities of aging, yet he refused to approach the game with anything less than the intensity that defined him from childhood. Meanwhile, the Lakers entered a painful rebuild, leaving him to carry the emotional weight of being the last surviving piece of an old era while the team around him struggled to find direction. Fans watched him push through games with sleeves, braces, and taped joints, understanding that they were witnessing the slow fading of a star who had once seemed invincible. The contrast between his declining body and his still burning spirit created a tension that made every game feel like a small battle against fate. And as the losses grew, he remained steadfast, determined to finish on his own terms even as the franchise changed around him. His final game in 2016 became the moment where everything converged, because he arrived that night with a body worn down yet a mindset focused on giving the world one last spectacle. No one, not even his closest supporters, expected the explosion that followed as he poured in 60 points with a level of skill and resolve that defied the slow decline of the previous years. The arena overflowed with emotion as teammates applauded, fans cried, and even opponents stepped back in awe of what he summoned in his final moments on the court. It felt like a farewell that stretched beyond basketball, like an ending crafted by someone who understood the power of finishing a story with intention rather than apology. The tributes that followed spoke to the decades of work he had poured into his craft, honoring his ability to remain dangerous until the final whistle. With that last performance, he closed the door on his playing days in a way that only he could have imagined. Retirement did not mark a slowing of ambition, because he shifted instantly into creative and business pursuits with the same precision he once brought to the hardwood. He founded Granity Studios to explore storytelling, authored the Mamba Mentality to teach the philosophy behind his discipline, and created the Wisenert series to inspire younger audiences with a blend of sports and imagination. His role as a father deepened as he coached Gianna's team with passion and patience, teaching her the angles, decisions, and mindset that once made him unstoppable. Beyond sports, he proved to be a sharp investor, turning an early stake in body armor into a fortune that surprised even seasoned businessmen as the company grew into a major global brand. His influence quietly expanded into classrooms, youth programs, and leadership circles, where the Mamba Mentality became a framework for growth and resilience. And in 2018, he added another milestone by winning an Oscar for his short film Dear Basketball, where he famously declared that sports and storytelling were different expressions of the same dream. This chapter of his life became a reminder that greatness does not end when a career ends, because he continued reinventing himself with the same hunger that once drove him as a teenager in Philadelphia. He embraced fatherhood, entrepreneurship, mentorship, and creativity with the same sharp focus that built his basketball legacy, proving that reinvention was not just a choice but a lifestyle. Every project he touched reflected both ambition and vulnerability, showing a man who no longer needed applause to define his worth. And as this final era unfolded, it became clear that he had entered a phase of life where he no longer chased legacy, he shaped it deliberately, piece by piece. This period of evolution, growth, and quiet mastery marked the calm before a tragedy no one could predict. And though his playing days had ended, his impact only grew stronger, reaching far beyond the court and into the lives of millions who studied his journey for guidance and inspiration. In the year 2020, the world learned how fragile life could be as the news of a tragic helicopter crash tore through every community that had ever drawn strength from Kobe Bryant's relentless spirit, and the suddenness of it left people gasping for understanding. The loss of 9 lives, including his daughter Gianna, created a grief so wide that it felt as though the entire planet had paused to absorb the weight of what had happened. Families mourned privately, nations mourned publicly, and the silence that followed became a reminder of how deeply one man's life had woven itself into millions of others. The reaction that followed was unlike anything the sports world had seen, as fans across continents struggled to accept that someone so fearless, so determined, and so alive could be gone in an instant. Tributes rose everywhere, murals painted on walls from Los Angeles to Manila, handwritten messages left at stadium gates, and emotional gestures that showed how much he had meant to people who had never met him. NBA arenas dimmed their lights in respect, players broke down mid-game, and entire teams took 24-second violations to honor the number that had already become a symbol of mentality, resilience, and courage. In the middle of this global heartbreak, Vanessa Bryant stepped forward with a strength that stunned the world, as she held her family together while speaking with grace, clarity, and love about the husband and daughter she had lost. Her resilience became part of Kobe's legacy, proving that the spirit he lived with had been shared within his home as deeply as it had been shared with the world. When Kobe was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021, Vanessa's tribute reminded everyone that his story was not only one of greatness but also of devotion, partnership, and a life built around purpose. His influence continued far beyond the game, shaping the mindset of a new generation of stars who openly carried his lessons into their craft. Giannis spoke about studying his conversations, Booker about modeling his work habits, Tatum about adopting his hunger, and Kyrie about the personal guidance Kobe had given him during pivotal moments. Even outside sports, Kobe's philosophy found a home in entrepreneurship, music, leadership, education, and anywhere people needed proof that discipline, imagination, and obsession could change the trajectory of a life. Kobe's presence endures through the moments that defined him. The early morning training sessions that set impossible standards, the tenderness he showed while raising his daughters, the historic nights when he pushed past human limits, and the joy he felt lifting trophies and accepting his Oscar. His story continues to echo each time someone chooses effort over excuses, vision over fear, and resilience over defeat, because the Mamba mentality has long outgrown the man who created it. Legends don't die. They teach, they inspire, and they live on through the people who rise using the lessons they left behind, and that is why the world will forever say, Mamba forever. Like, share and subscribe for more stories like this.